Okay, let's bring in the 3-time defending tactical games champion in the women's division, Megan Kennedy. Megan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're great. Thank you so much for doing this. The tactical games are something that I think people in the CrossFit space know about, but they don't know what they are. So if you were explaining the tactical games to somebody who kind of had a rudimentary knowledge of them, how would you explain it?
Oh, I mean, pretty simply, it's basically CrossFit with mainly sandbags meets shooting competition, mainly 2-gun. If you really just combine the two, that's pretty much what it is for 2 days.
Okay.
Okay. And so for anyone that's unfamiliar with because I feel like shooting sports are starting to become a more vested interest for some people in the CrossFit community. What is the 2-gun competition? What does that kind of look like from a technical standpoint, I guess?
Yeah, so they're going to be shorter distances and further distances, both utilizing your pistol and your rifle. So no shotgun or anything in 2-gun. It's just there will be some pistol shooting, some rifle shooting throughout the whole event.
How did you get into this whole thing?
Well, when I got on SWAT at my sheriff's department, basically it translates very well. I've always been involved in sports and everything, but when I got on SWAT, started shooting a bunch, somebody actually sent it to me, I think on Instagram, was like, hey, this is right up your alley. You might want to check this out. I looked at it and I was like, that's perfect. That literally is both my worlds, working out and shooting, both combined together. Like, this is right up my alley. Plus, I love competing. So really, it just translated over. I didn't have to cater much training because I'm lucky enough that I get good training, being on SWAT and everything. And then obviously, I'm in the gym all the time, so it was pretty easy translation for me.
And I'm curious, kind of like what your athletic background was, maybe provided the foundation for being a very high level and a champion tactical games athlete.
Yeah, so I've always been involved in sports, everything, swimming, soccer, all that jazz growing up. And then when I came here initially in North Carolina from Michigan, my sister came about a year later, my older sister, and she's a personal trainer. So she taught me a bunch of bodybuilding, got the foundation. We got bored with it. We're like, what else can we do? Found CrossFit, even though it had been around for a while. Wish we had found it sooner. So we started getting into that world. I've also dabbled with powerlifting as well, but really we just started doing, functional fitness training and everything else. She owns a gym now, so it's pretty easy. I can go anytime I want. I'm pretty much in there at 3:00 in the morning just to go in before my shift to begin with.
CrossFitters are very familiar with, what a CrossFit competition looks like, be it, a qualifying event or the games. What do the tactical games look like as far as the things you're testing and the events you go through?
Yeah, so a lot of it's going to be a lot of pulling movements and a lot of grip movements because there's only so much that you can do on the range. I mean, there are obstacles sometimes. So you'll have a 6-foot wall, an 8-foot wall. Here in North Carolina, they have like this really big cement wall. You're basically just sliding down on the other side. Rope climbs, low crawls. Those are the obstacles mainly, but a lot of sandbag equipment. So you're doing like a full kit, rifle, everything. It's not loaded when you do these movements. And you'll take a sandbag, like 100, 125 pounds for women, just depends on the event. Throw it over your shoulder, run down. You'll shoot a sequence of some sort. Then you'll take that sandbag back, take it down to the other side. Maybe you'll do a rope climb. Then you'll maybe take a farmer carry to the other one. They try and switch it up every event. And every event's going to be different just based off what is at that range. But I would say it's a very grip intensive, a lot of sandbag movements, a decent amount of running, and obstacles.
It's interesting. I've shot my first 2 pistol matches ever, like in the past couple of months, and so I was kind of amazed in some ways how the shooting community is very, very similar to the CrossFit community in terms of like support and being like very open-minded and helping each other out. And I was kind of curious, also struck by, I think, maybe some misconceptions that I had. What are some misconceptions that you have seen from people that are maybe interested in the tactical games community or maybe just don't understand it fully?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest misconception is that most of the people out there are law enforcement or military. I'd say I'm one of maybe 5 of a couple hundred people when we're there that usually is law enforcement. Go out there, they're able to shoot on their off time. They end up having way more Gucci guns than the rest of us because they're able to afford them. And they're just really freaking good and just really enjoy it. So I'd say number one misconception is that it's just law enforcement military. Not true at all. And then the other thing is just that, you know, you have to be this elite competitor. I think it's a balance. Like there are some women or men out there that are the most physically fit that probably, you know, that we have some that do compete, you know, very well in the CrossFit community. But then there's some that shooters that are fantastic, but they don't have the physical level. So you kind of have to have a balance for it. But there's so many different levels. You do not have to be at that elite, you know, category in order to be able to do it. They have beginner, they have intermediate, and then of course you have your elite division of both.
I like hearing that because
and everybody's super welcoming.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think there are many parallels to CrossFit in that regard, where people think you have to be crazy fit just to start, or that it's only like
Sure.
insane fitness monsters that do this. When the reality is there are levels to it, and there are a variety of ways for people to get involved if it's something that maybe they're interested in, and you just kind of have to take that leap. And you know, you might be surprised to be welcomed with open arms. So it's kind of cool to hear you say that.
Yeah, I would say, you know, from day one of being out there, I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't really even look it up beforehand. On my first competition, I just showed up. And everybody's more than willing to help you. You'll find even in, you know, if you've done the pistol comps and everything else, people are strategizing and helping one another. Of course, there are going to be some of us that are a little more competitive than others. It's just going to be the nature of the beast. But I've never gone out there and seen anybody sabotage anybody or not want them to do well. If they've never done barricade work before and they're about to go out there and do it, somebody's sitting on the side explaining things to them to help them out.
What does a competition season look like for you?
Well, it does tend to get a little bit expensive. So I try to go as many as I can, and they're all over, you know, the US. It'll be very spread out. So I kind of stay more towards the North Carolina, South Carolina area. I go to Florida when I can. I wasn't able to make it to nationals. So actually Tristan Burris is technically the champion because I didn't get to face her again in Florida this past. They had the first nationals competition, but work unfortunately caused me to not be there. But yeah, I mean, I just train as much as possible with the ammo shortage right now. There's not much that you can do. Just dry fire like a champ and continue workouts every day. But I'll typically, my goal is usually 3 to 4 competitions and then obviously make it to nationals this year.
How does one qualify for the National Tactical Games?
Top 5 in the category. So intermediate or elite, you have to be the top 5 in that event. So that's the thing too, is that not everybody's going to every single competition. You may face these people in North Carolina, go to 3 more events and never face them again until the next one. It just depends on who can make what.
So at any one of those events, if you place top 5, then you basically earn a berth to nationals from that.
Yes.
Okay. One thing I'm kind of curious about, and you kind of mentioned how there's this misconception that everyone's military or law enforcement, but I am curious how, you know, in CrossFit, a lot of things that we try to do is provide a fitness that is functional for your everyday life. For you as a law enforcement officer and as a member of SWAT, like how does your training and what you do from the sports side of things kind of benefit you in your everyday profession?
Yeah, I think that's why everything translated so well for me, you know, when I went to the tactical games and everything, is because that was the style. You have to, it's not going to be super heavy. And that's where, you know, the games is starting to get heavier and everything else tactical games is. And in especially like SWAT community, like, yes, you need to be strong. Yes, you need to be able to move things. Yes, you have to be able to scale, you know, walls and everything else, but you don't necessarily need to be able to lift like a ton of weight because, you know, you just mobility and going fast and going distances. You know, there's some competitions where it's 5 miles long that you're doing, you know, full kit and everything else and getting it done as quickly as possible. But I would just say overall, I mean, I just like to be as fit as possible for my job. It's CrossFit or functional fitness or whatever you do, as long as you're doing something, I like to have some strength, you know, to be decent in there and then have a lot of endurance. And for me, it directly translates in everything that we're doing out there. You know, even the sandbags over the shoulder, everything else. I mess around with I'm getting my sister ready because she's way stronger and way fitter than me, but she can't shoot just yet as good as me. But we were out there recently and just messing around and throwing each other over our shoulders and doing some like farmer carry because we have a team competition. The first one of the year is going to be in August. But like things like that, like not everybody can just do that with a bunch of guns and kit on and everything else. Well, that would actually translate to work because I might have to pick somebody up and take them out of a, shooting zone or something like that. So they try and make it as battle ready as possible in the tactical games, but there's only so much that you can do to really translate that.
This is the tactical games seem to be a big overlap of obviously the CrossFit community, and there's a lot of people in the CrossFit community who enjoy recreational target shooting and things like that. If someone's out there going, I want to give this a try, what's the best way for them to get involved in this sport?
Yeah, so they have skirmishes now that are one-day events. It's a good intro because I will say it is extremely physically taxing to do the 2-day event if you're not ready for it. I mean, you're getting there anywhere from 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning on the first day, all day long, nonstop, and you'll go to a battle, but you're getting stuff ready on the things that when you're downtime, and you'll probably leave out of there at 6-7 o'clock at night and then be back there again at 5:30 the next morning. And it's just go, 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 go. So it can be definitely physically taxing for that. But the skirmishes are one day, a little more chill. They're, the prize good because it's an event. It's just not as big of a deal or anything like that. So people tend to take it along. So they can definitely do that. And then honestly, I mean, outside of doing things in the gym, the best thing that they can do is just target practice and switch between rifle and pistol, start super close up, bullseye shooting, get that down, then focus on incorporating movements, which has the ability to do that at their ranges. But unloaded guns, maybe come in when somebody's not there or something like that and try and simulate a really good workout, then drawing your gun, having a good trigger pull and everything, get that dry fire practice in there. Those are the things that are really going to get you ready, because if you don't put physically taxing workout plus the shooting, I guarantee you'll either shoot way too fast and miss everything, or you're just going to miss everything because your heart rate's through the roof.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because we did, one of our former coworkers, Pat Sherwood, did some shooting drills with a bunch of people from HQ back in the day, for CrossFit HQ back in the day. And one of the drills that we did was we had to get our heart rate up through, like vested burpees and some shuttle sprints and stuff like that. And I remember the first time that we had to do this buy-in workout, and then we were able to like draw, and then had to shoot this sequence. And I might as well have done it with my eyes closed. I had no idea the difference it made just having a high heart rate, and like my world fell apart. And it was comical. And I looked at him, I was like, I get it now. Like I understand why you guys drill and do stuff like that, for him as a former Navy SEAL. So it's crazy to hear you say that, because I have a firsthand experience of basically being useless. I was a dummy with it might as well have been shooting straight up into the sky. But
trust me, we have all had that battle. I definitely had that. My first games go around, I think I missed. I got it done really quick, like beat everybody by a couple minutes, but it didn't matter because I missed like 34 out of 50 shots on that one. And that's the thing, is it's usually about a 10-second penalty per shot you miss. So that's where you have a give and take. You can't be super slow and get destroyed out there, but at the same time, your shooting has to be up to par. Or, somebody could come in who's super physically fit, can't shoot for shit, goes out there, blows it away and burns it down, which is completely against the whole philosophy of it. And then they're not going to win though, because it'll always catch up to you in the end.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many parallels. I feel like when you talk about that balance between that and competing in the sport of CrossFit, what I'm curious is, in the 4 years that you've competed at nationals, have you seen any sort of like growth or like this momentum building for the sport as a whole? Because I feel like I'm seeing more and more of it in recent months and in recent year or so for the tactical games, and I'm not sure if from the competitive side you start to see the sport grow.
Yes, actually, no. So this past November was the first nationals. They've never even had a nationals before that. I've competed in 4 events, but those have been like a couple months apart. So I've really only been competing since a little over a year and a half. 2019, and I'm trying to think when I broke my foot right before the first one that I did. I'm just trying to think of when that was. I think it was somewhere around like September time in 2019. And so even from then, I would say to today, it's grown exponentially. Like they're really making moves to try and make it bigger and everything else. And they're doing the nationals and different categories this year. I don't know if you guys are familiar, like before the women's division, Nature of the Beast, not as many women, unfortunately, are in the sport. So they've made 2 categories now that was never before. It was just one women's division up until this year. So this season, now there's going to be an intermediate and there's going to be an elite. And they've also added red dot. So everybody's thing is that they want a red dot on their pistol, but it's kind of been since the beginning, no, we're going to stick with irons all the way. Well, now they've added a division that if you want to come out there and shoot your red dot, you can do that. So they're trying to make more categories to just, cater to the community a little bit better. So I can only see it growing from here.
What's up next for you on your schedule?
So in 2 weeks, I'm actually battle bossing. I'm not going to be competing. So the battle bosses run the events. There's 3 different events. Last year I was asked to do it in Pennsylvania. Absolutely loved it because you get to everybody coming through, get to know a lot of people, help a lot of people out. So I really enjoy that aspect along with the competing. So I'm doing that in Mississippi. And then my first competition of this season will probably be in South Carolina in April.
Oh, awesome.
If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you, either on social media or on the internet? And if people want to learn more about the sport, where can they go to do that?
Yeah. So Instagram is the primary way for me, Identity Cop Fitness, the Tactical Games or the Tactical Games Skirmish as far as Instagram. And they're also on Facebook as well. And if you do sign up for an event, they actually have a private group on Facebook. Tactical Games athletes, we always are shooting things back and forth, or somebody's got a piece of equipment that they want to sell cheaper for somebody. They're always willing to hook everybody up. And I'll say, I actually literally this weekend have someone coming from Maryland to come, and I'm helping her out because she's a newer athlete to it that wanted to get more into it, but didn't really know what to expect. So I offered, why not come on down? We'll go out to the range. I'll help you out the best that I can. And I would say across the board, I'm not the only one that does that and is willing to help anybody either, just talk them through it or go out there and train some. There's a lot of really, good either veteran or non-veteran competitors that if you reach out to them, I'm about 99% sure they're going to answer and they will help you out if they can.
Awesome.
That's great. Well, Megan, listen, we really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I know there are a lot of people probably scrambling to look that up right now. So, and I'm guessing your DMs are about to get pretty busy too as well.
Love it.
Yeah, bring it on. I'll help the best I can.
Yeah. Well, best of luck this season. And hopefully we see you defend your title for the 4th time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.